You hate the process because it strips you of illusion. It removes comfort, speed, applause, and shortcuts. It leaves you alone with time, resistance, and your own discipline, or lack of it. Men today are told that struggle means failure, delay means rejection, and pressure means something is wrong. That lie has weakened an entire generation. You want strength, respect, clarity, and command, but you resent the very path that produces them. You want the result without the resistance, the authority without the formation, the backbone without the weight. That contradiction is the crisis. This is not a message to motivate you. It is a confrontation. The process you despise is not accidental. It is not cruel. It is intentional. And the sooner you understand why it exists, the faster you stop fighting the very thing shaping you. Most men believe pain means abandonment. That delay means they chose wrong. That resistance is proof they are not meant for more. That assumption is false, and it is the reason so many quit just before they harden. Pressure is not punishment. It is selection. Nothing of value is formed in ease. Not muscle, not command, not judgment. When life tightens, it is not pushing you away. It is narrowing the field, removing the uncommitted, exposing who relies on comfort and who relies on structure. If the process were pleasant, everyone would survive it. If the path were clear, no backbone would be required. Resistance exists because strength is rare. Time exists because patience must be proven. Silence exists because impulse must be starved. Men who interpret hardship as rejection disqualify themselves. Men who recognize it as refinement stay. The same weight that breaks one man stabilizes another. The difference is not talent, it is interpretation. You were not delayed because you are forgotten. You were slowed because you are being measured. And the process never measures potential. It measures obedience under pressure. Now the teaching can begin. The process exists to expose what talk can hide. Anyone can claim discipline when nothing presses against them. Anyone can speak of strength when comfort is uninterrupted. The process is the moment when excuses are stripped away and only command remains. This is why it feels hostile. It is not designed to comfort you. It is designed to test whether you can govern yourself when no one is watching. Process is not delay. It is filtration. It removes men who rely on impulse, praise, or shortcuts. It keeps only those who can endure repetition without applause, those who can return to the same weight, the same silence, the same responsibility, day after day, without needing reassurance. This is where backbone forms, not in victory, but in continuance. Every man reaches a point where escape becomes easy, where quitting is justified, where compromise feels intelligent. That moment is the oath point, not spoken aloud, but sealed internally. Will you remain when nothing rewards you yet? Will you hold position when progress feels invisible? The process watches closely here. It does not shout, it waits. Men who abandon the process often mistake relief for freedom, but relief is temporary. What follows is drift, loss of edge, loss of clarity, loss of respect. Not because the world punished them, but because they broke alignment with order. Process is order enforced through time. The man who stays becomes different without noticing it. His reactions slow, his decisions sharpen, his words carry weight because they are backed by habit. He no longer negotiates with weakness. He recognizes it and commands it. This is not personality, this is formation. The process you hate is not asking you to feel strong. It is demanding that you become strong, quietly, repeatedly, without witnesses. Honor is not a belief, it is a behavior sustained under pressure. When men reject the process, they do not merely lose progress, they lose structure. Without structure, values become opinions, and opinions collapse under stress. The process is what turns intention into law inside a man. Restraint is forged slowly. A man learns it by refusing the easy reaction, the fast indulgence, the loud response. Process places him in situations where impulse offers relief, but discipline offers alignment. Each refusal strengthens command. This is how self-rule is established, not through motivation, but through repetition under resistance. Men who bypass process often become unstable. They speak loudly, promise quickly, demand respect prematurely. But respect is not claimed, it is observed. It appears when a man's actions remain consistent, regardless of mood, attention, or outcome. Process builds this consistency by denying immediate reward. This is why disciplined men treat women with gravity, not sentimentality, not domination. Gravity, because a man who governs himself does not need to extract validation or control. He stands firm, clear in boundaries, predictable in integrity. This stability creates safety, and safety earns respect. Brotherhood is also formed here, not in comfort, but in shared endurance. Men recognize each other not by words, but by posture, by how they carry responsibility, by how they remain when others vanish. Process filters companions the same way it filters character. Legacy does not begin with achievement, it begins with restraint, with the ability to delay gratification, to hold a line, to endure obscurity without resentment. Process engraves this capacity into a man until it becomes instinct. When process is avoided, values decay. When it is embraced, values harden, not into rigidity, but into reliability, the kind that others lean on without asking. If you are done drifting and ready to submit to structure, the path is set. 60 days of discipline, restraint, and restored command designed to rebuild what comfort erased. This is not motivation. It is order. Link pinned in the first comment. The mind is the first territory men surrender, not through collapse, but through noise, constant input, endless reaction, opinions mistaken for thought. The process reverses this by forcing silence, repetition, the slow return to deliberate action. This is why it feels unbearable to many. It removes distraction and exposes the lack of internal command. Mental fortitude is not aggression, it is containment, the ability to hold a thought without broadcasting it, to endure boredom without escaping into impulse, to absorb insult without reflex. Process trains this containment by denying stimulation and demanding presence. A man learns to sit with discomfort until it loses authority over him. Routine is not limitation, it is fortification. The same hour, the same task, the same standard. Over time, this creates an internal perimeter. Chaos no longer enters easily. Emotional swings shorten, decisions become cleaner. The man stops negotiating with his impulses because the routine has already decided for him. Modern men flee this because it feels small, unimpressive, unseen. But mastery is always quiet at first. Those who chase novelty never stay long enough to dominate anything. Process forces a man to remain long after enthusiasm expires. This is where identity stabilizes. There is a moment when repetition becomes weightless, when the task no longer drains but steadies. This is the signal that the mind has been retrained. No longer seeking escape, it now seeks order. The man does not feel heroic, he feels aligned. Process teaches without speaking. It replaces overthinking with execution. It removes fantasy and installs competence. The man who endures it does not announce his strength. Others notice it when pressure arrives and he does not move. History does not remember men who avoided the process. It remembers those who submitted to it without complaint, not because they enjoyed hardship, but because they understood its function. Timeless standards were never built for convenience. They were built to preserve order when conditions deteriorate. Courage is often misunderstood. It is not the surge of emotion before action. It is the discipline to act the same when emotion disappears. Process trains this by removing excitement and leaving only obligation. When a man continues under these conditions, courage becomes permanent rather than situational. Modern culture praises expression over restraint, speed over depth, comfort over formation. The result is men who react loudly but fracture quickly. Process is the counterweight. It slows a man down until his actions are intentional. It removes the need to perform and replaces it with the requirement to endure. The cost of abandoning process is not immediate collapse. It is erosion. Standards soften, boundaries blur. Resentment grows toward anything that demands effort. Over time, the man becomes hostile to discipline because discipline exposes what he avoided becoming. Authority is never granted by title or volume. It is recognized in moments of pressure. When uncertainty spreads and others look for direction, the man who endured process does not rush. He assesses, he speaks once, and what he says holds. This authority is quiet. It does not seek permission. It does not need explanation. It was earned through thousands of unnoticed repetitions when quitting would have been justified. Process produces this presence because it cannot be faked. When standards are upheld long enough, they stop feeling heavy. They become identity, and identity, once forged, resists collapse. Every civilization eventually asks the same question in different language. What does a fully formed man look like? Not in theory, but in flesh. Under pressure, under injustice, under silence. When comfort is removed, an outcome is uncertain. History keeps circling the same answer because alternatives fail under weight. The standard is restraint under power, authority without corruption, strength that does not need to dominate, discipline that does not seek applause. A man who carries responsibility without resentment and endures suffering without becoming cruel. This pattern appears long before it is named. Soldiers, builders, fathers, leaders, men who hold their ground when abandoning it would be easier. At the end of honest searching, many arrive at the same figure, not as religion first, but as recognition. A man who submitted to process without bypass, who did not escape obscurity, who accepted delay, rejection, physical hardship, and silence, who mastered impulse, spoke with precision, and acted with restraint even when power was available. This is not myth, it is prototype. What draws men to this figure is not sentiment, it is alignment, the realization that true strength is governed, not explosive. That sacrifice is not weakness, but command over self. That authority flows from obedience to order, not from force. Long before men call him anything, they recognize the standard. Process shaped this model completely. No shortcuts, no exemptions, no avoidance of pain. And because of that, the structure holds. Men who pursue strength seriously eventually mirror these same qualities, even if they resist the name at first. This is why the process feels sacred, whether a man believes or not. It is not random, it is precise. It produces a specific kind of man, one who stands firm, speaks little, endures much, and carries weight without deforming under it. The process you hate is the pressure that bends every honest man toward the same backbone. If the process is real, it must touch your days, not your opinions, not your intentions, your structure. Begin by removing choice where weakness negotiates. Fixed waking time, fixed training, fixed work block, fixed silence. Routine is not rigidity, it is pre-decision. It prevents decay before it begins. Select one discipline that exposes resistance and submit to it daily. Not dramatically, precisely. When the mind protests, do not argue. Execute. This trains command. Strength grows when action precedes emotion, not the reverse. Fortress the mind by reducing noise, fewer inputs, less commentary, more completion. Do not explain your standards. Live them. Explanation is often a substitute for alignment. In relationships, practice gravity, speak clearly, set boundaries without anger. Respect women through consistency, not performance. A man who governs himself creates safety without effort. Record your commitments privately. Measure obedience, not outcome. Outcome follows later. The process does not respond to impatience. End each day asking one question only. Did I hold the line I set this morning? If yes, sleep without apology. If no, correct immediately tomorrow without self-pity. This is not self-improvement. It is self-command restored through order, repetition, and refusal to escape discomfort. The process never asks for your enthusiasm, only your presence. It does not negotiate, it waits. Every day you stand firm, it records alignment. Every day you flee, it records drift. There is no judgment in this, only consequence. Men who endure stop asking why it is hard. They understand that difficulty is confirmation, not rejection. The pressure means you are still being shaped, still being trusted with weight, still being formed for something that cannot be handed to the undisciplined. Do not envy men who appear ahead, but were never forged. Their speed will become fragility. Depth always outlasts acceleration. Stand where you are. Accept the repetition. Honor the silence. The process is not against you. It is the evidence that you are not finished. Hold your line. Remain.